I'm 56 years old, and I've spent the last 20 years perfecting the art of political survival in Des Moines. Today, manning my re-election booth at the cultural festival, I thought I had everything under control until she appeared. The autumn air carries the scent of kettle corn and fallen leaves as I arrange campaign pamphlets with mechanical precision. Voters stream past, offering polite handshakes and empty promises of support. Then I see her at the Native American crafts booth, blonde hair catching afternoon sunlight, leather jacket hugging curves that make me forget I'm a respectable city councilwoman. She's examining a dream catcher, the same intricate piece that drew my attention moments earlier. Something about her focus, the way she traces the wooden frame with reverent fingers, pulls me from behind my political barrier. Beautiful workmanship, I venture, stepping beside her. She turns, blue eyes meeting mine with startling intensity. Fiona Sanders, right? The councilwoman. And you are? Riley Cook, private investigator. Her handshake lingers, warm and firm. This piece is special. See these beads? They're not commercially made. We debate the authenticity with growing animation. Her knowledge surprising me. She knows tribal history, recognizes genuine craftsmanship. I find myself leaning closer, inhaling her subtle perfume mixed with coffee and determination. Ladies, we need help. A festival volunteer rushes past, panic in her voice. 8-year-old girl gone missing by the pond. Without hesitation, Riley springs into action. I'll coordinate with security. You handle the crowd control? Something clicks between us. She moves with practiced efficiency while I use my political connections to mobilize resources. 20 minutes later, we find little Emma hiding in the corn maze, scared but safe. Nice work, councilwoman. Riley's smile transforms her serious face. We make a decent team. Standing there with crisis must hair and grass stains on my blazer, I realize this stranger has seen me more clearly in 1 hour than most people do in years of political theater. Coffee sometime? The words escape before my careful political mind can stop them. I'd like that. Her gaze holds promises I haven't allowed myself to imagine. Very much. As she walks away, dream catcher in hand, I touch my lips unconsciously. At 56, I thought I knew everything about want and restraint. Riley Cook just proved me completely wrong. The festival continues around me, but something fundamental has shifted. I watch her disappear into the crowd, already counting hours until our coffee date, wondering what other surprises this golden-haired investigator might bring into my carefully ordered world. 3 days after the festival, Riley appears in my office doorway, like a beautiful disruption to my Tuesday morning routine. The dreamcatcher hangs from her leather jacket pocket, catching light from my institutional fluorescent bulbs. Miss Sanders, I have a consultation request. Her voice carries professional authority, but those blue eyes betray something warmer. About city contracts and potential corruption. My secretary, Margaret, raises questioning eyebrows as I wave Riley inside. The sterile political workspace suddenly feels cramped with her presence. All energy and purpose in worn denim and confidence. What kind of corruption? I close the door, aware of how the simple action creates intimacy between us. Development contracts. 3 companies consistently winning bids despite higher prices. Riley spreads photographs across my mahogany desk. Someone's getting paid off. Her investigation skills impress me. She's connected dots that took my staff months to notice, traced paper trails with detective precision. As she leans over the documents explaining her findings, I catch glimpses of determination that makes my pulse quicken. Coffee to discuss this properly? I suggest, though we both know this conversation extends beyond professional necessity. The cafe becomes our war room. Riley orders black coffee, no sugar, practical, direct. I find myself studying the way she gestures while explaining kickback schemes, how passion for justice animates her entire being. These contractors are linked to Councilman Barrett's campaign donors, she continues, sliding a folder across our small table. Your biggest political rival. You've done impressive work. I touch her hand briefly, feeling electricity that has nothing to do with political intrigue. Why bring this to me? Because you're clean. Her directness catches me off guard. 20 years in city politics without a whisper of scandal. That's rare. Hours pass unnoticed. Coffee turns to dinner at a quiet Italian place, she suggests. Between discussions of evidence and legal strategies, personal stories emerge. She tells me about leaving military police work, starting her investigation business. I share the loneliness of political life, how public service became my entire identity. "Don't you ever want something just for yourself?" Riley asks, swirling wine in her glass. The question hangs between us, loaded with possibility. I'm too old for selfish wants. Bullshit. Her laugh is warm and challenging. You're what, 56? That's not old, that's experienced. Walking to my car, autumn wind carries the scent of impending change. Riley stops beside her motorcycle, helmet in hand, looking younger than her 31 years under streetlights. "This investigation could get dangerous," she says softly. "Barrett has connections, influence. You should be careful." "Are you worried about me, Miss Cook?" She steps closer, close enough that I see flecks of silver in those blue eyes. Maybe I am. The kiss happens naturally, inevitable as gravity. Her lips taste like wine and possibility, soft against mine for just a moment before she pulls away, both of us surprised by our boldness. "Damn," she whispers, touching her mouth. "Indeed." My voice sounds steadier than I feel. "Good night, Riley." Driving home, I replay every moment of our evening. At 56, I thought I understood the boundaries of my life, the safe parameters of respectability and political survival. Riley Cook is rewriting those rules with every smile, every touch, every look that sees past my carefully constructed public persona. By Thursday night, Riley's motorcycle becomes a familiar sight outside my Victorian house. Officially, she's conducting surveillance for my protection following her corruption investigation. Unofficially, we both know she could monitor threats from anywhere in the neighborhood. Instead, she parks directly under my kitchen window, where our conversations stretch past midnight. Me in silk pajamas and a robe, her in that leather jacket despite the October chill. We talk through the glass like teenagers breaking curfew, voices hushed with conspiracy and growing attraction. "Barrett received another envelope today," Riley reports, breath fogging the window. "Thick one. Cash or photographs." "From the same courier service?" I pour wine, offering her a glass through the partially opened window. "Different company, same pattern." She accepts the wine, fingers brushing mine. He's getting nervous, sloppy. These late-night briefings become our ritual. Riley shares investigation updates while I provide political context, but increasingly our conversations drift toward personal territory. She tells me about her father's military career, how it shaped her sense of justice. I confess dreams I abandoned for political ambition, artistic aspirations buried under years of pragmatic compromise. "You paint?" Surprise colors her voice when I mention watercolors gathering dust in my spare room. Painted. Past tense. I settle into the window seat, drawn by her genuine interest. Politics doesn't leave time for frivolous pursuits. "Show me sometime." The request sounds casual, but her eyes hold deeper invitation. Friday brings crisis. Barrett's corruption investigation explodes across local news, but he's spinning the story as political sabotage. Emergency city council meeting called for Saturday morning, with media circus guaranteed. "I need those photographs," I tell Riley as she arrives for our usual evening briefing. Physical evidence trumps accusations. Already on it. She produces an envelope thick with surveillance photos, courier pickup, cash handoff, the works. Studying the evidence in my kitchen under bright lights, we work with focused intensity. Riley's investigative skills complement my political strategizing perfectly. She spots details I miss. I understand implications she overlooks. "This timeline proves Barrett knew about the contract irregularities," I say, arranging photos chronologically. "He's not just corrupt, he's orchestrating the entire scheme." Fiona Riley's voice stops my analysis. She's standing close, very close, in the bright kitchen light. "We should talk about what's happening here." "What's happening where?" "Between us." Her directness cuts through my political evasions. "This isn't just about corruption anymore." The photographs scatter as she steps closer, blue eyes serious and searching. "I'm 31. You're 56. You're a public figure. I'm a private investigator. This could destroy both our careers." "I know." My voice sounds steadier than I feel. "I don't care." Her honesty takes my breath away. Do you? My answer comes in the form of action rather than words. I kiss her properly this time, not the hesitant brush of lips from the restaurant, but with 20 years of suppressed desire and newfound courage. She responds immediately, hands tangling in my hair, pushing me against the kitchen counter. We break apart breathless, foreheads touching, both aware we've crossed a line that changes everything. Damn, she whispers, echoing our first kiss. The council meeting is in 12 hours, I manage, though political concerns feel distant compared to the warmth of her hands on my waist. Then we better get back to work. Riley's smile holds promise and challenge. Plenty of time for this later. But as we return to organizing evidence, charged glances and accidental touches make concentration nearly impossible. At 56, I thought passion was a young woman's luxury. Riley Cook is teaching me that desire doesn't diminish with age, it simply becomes more precious and more dangerous. The corruption scandal explodes perfectly. Barrett resigns in disgrace, his political career destroyed by Riley's meticulous evidence gathering. But victory tastes hollow when I realize the investigation has uncovered secrets that could destroy us both. Monday morning brings congratulations from colleagues and media requests for interviews. I handle them with practiced, political grace, while battling internal turmoil about Riley and the dangerous territory we're exploring. 25 years between us feels insignificant when she's in my arms, overwhelming when facing public scrutiny. You did good work, Councilwoman, Mayor Davidson tells me after our staff meeting. Barrett was poison to this administration. If only he knew the real poison, my growing obsession with a woman young enough to be my daughter, whose investigation skills are matched only by her ability to make me forget everything sensible about appropriate relationships. Riley appears at my office door Tuesday afternoon, tension evident in her rigid posture. We need to talk, privately. Margaret has left early, giving us the building's top floor to ourselves. Riley closes the door, locks it, then turns to face me with expression I can't read. Barrett wasn't working alone, she says without preamble. My investigation uncovered 3 more council members taking kickbacks, including your ally, Councilwoman Peters. The news hits like physical blow. Janet Peters mentored me through my early political years, became my closest friend on the council. You're certain? Riley produces a new folder. Evidence as damning as Barrett's case. Cash deposits matching contract awards, offshore accounts, the whole operation. She's been dirty for years. I study the photographs with growing horror. Janet's face, clear and unmistakable, receiving envelopes from the same courier service. Her signature on documents authorizing fraudulent payments. My political world crumbling around evidence that can't be disputed. There's more. Riley's voice carries reluctance. Peters knows about us. What do you mean? She had me investigated. Professional background check initially, but it went deeper. She knows about our dinners, our meetings, the time we spend together. Riley sits across from my desk, suddenly looking very young. She could destroy both our careers if this corruption case moves forward. The blackmail implications hang between us like toxic cloud. Expose Peters' corruption and face public destruction of my personal life. Protect our secret relationship and become complicit in ongoing fraud. What do you want to do? I ask, though the question tears at everything I believe about justice and integrity. Run away. Riley's honesty startles me. Pack everything, leave Des Moines, start over somewhere nobody knows us. You're serious. Dead serious. I have money saved, military contacts in other cities. We could disappear. The fantasy tempts me more than it should. Riley and me in some distant place where age differences don't matter, where political careers can't be destroyed by loving the wrong person. But duty anchors me to reality. I can't abandon my constituents over personal fears. Riley nods like she expected this answer. Then we move forward with Peters' investigation. Consequences be damned. She stands, walks around the desk, stops directly in front of my chair. But first, I need you to understand something. What? I'm falling in love with you, Fiona. Not infatuation, not professional admiration. Real love. Her confession hangs in the air between us, brave and terrifying. Whatever happens with this investigation, whatever Peters threatens to expose, I'm not walking away. The kiss that follows feels different from our previous encounters. deeper, more desperate, weighted with acknowledgement of what we're risking. When we break apart, both breathing hard, I see my own fears and determination reflected in her blue eyes. My cabin upstate, I whisper against her lips. This weekend, away from Des Moines, away from politics, away from everything watching us. Yes. Her agreement comes without hesitation. Friday afternoon, I inform Margaret I'm taking personal time, first weekend off in months. Riley meets me at the city limits, motorcycle loaded with overnight gear, following her taillights north toward the lake cabin I've owned for years, but rarely visit. 2 hours later, we're alone in the wilderness with nothing but honesty between us. The cabin weekend transforms everything between us. Away from Des Moines politics and watchful eyes, Riley and I discover depths of connection that transcend age differences and career concerns. Sunday evening, driving back to reality, we're no longer just attracted colleagues but partners in every sense. Monday brings me to my newly purchased Victorian house with fresh perspective. The real estate agent had mentioned its historical significance, but I'd been too focused on political advantages, prestigious neighborhood, convenient location, to investigate deeper. Riley arrives Tuesday with disturbing news. I've been researching property records for the Peters investigation. Found something about your house. She spreads historical documents across my dining room table, maps and deeds dating back over a century. This entire block was built on unmarked burial grounds, Native American sacred land. That's impossible. The city would have records. Not if those records were deliberately destroyed. Riley points to gaps in the municipal archives, suspicious holes in documentation from the 1890s. Your house, 3 others on this street, all built on graves that were never relocated. The implications chill me. Sacred land desecrated for development profits, indigenous remains bulldozed and forgotten. My beautiful Victorian home suddenly feels different, weighted with invisible history. Wednesday night, alone in the house, I notice the first signs. Doors that close themselves without drafts. Temperature drops in specific rooms despite the heating system working perfectly. Dreams filled with voices speaking languages I don't recognize. Words that feel urgent but incomprehensible. Riley finds me Thursday morning exhausted and shaken. Something's wrong here. I can feel it. You believe in ghosts? I ask, hoping she'll laugh away my growing unease. I believe in unfinished business. Her military background shows in her practical acceptance. Spiritual or psychological, something's disturbed. That afternoon, she brings Tom Crowfeather, an elder from the local tribal community. He's 70-something with silver braids and eyes that seem to see past surface appearances, evaluating my house with quiet intensity. The spirits are restless, he confirms after walking through each room. This land holds many ancestors, buried without proper ceremony, without acknowledgement. What does that mean for us? Truth demands recognition. His words carry weight beyond simple explanation. The dead seek justice for wrongs never addressed. Thursday night proves his warnings accurate. Riley stays over, both of us reluctant to admit we're scared, but supernatural phenomena intensify. Pottery shards surface in my garden during a violent thunderstorm. Ancient fragments that couldn't have been buried recently. Look at this. Riley examines the artifacts by lamplight. Same patterns as the dream catcher from the festival. The connection sends chills through me. That dream catcher brought us together, started everything between us. Now these pottery pieces emerge from earth that should hold only Victorian-era foundations. Friday morning brings the most unsettling discovery. Riley finds census records from 1889, listing 12 families forcibly relocated from this exact location. The Blackhawk settlement, erased from official history to make room for wealthy development. Your house sits directly on the former tribal meeting place, she explains, showing me overlaid maps, the most sacred spot of the entire settlement. Tom Crowfeather returns with sage and traditional blessings, explaining that the spirits don't seek vengeance but acknowledgement. They want their story told, their existence remembered. How do we do that? First, you must understand your own connection to this injustice. His knowing look suggests he's already discovered what Riley and I haven't yet realized. Your family name appears in the development records. Sanders Construction Company, 1890. The revelation hits like physical blow. My great-great-grandfather profited from desecrating sacred burial grounds, building wealth on indigenous suffering. The house I love, the neighborhood that establishes my political credibility, all founded on historical crimes my family helped commit. Riley's hand finds mine as supernatural implications merge with personal guilt. The spirits aren't random hauntings but ancestral demands for justice from the very family line that wronged them. What do they want from me? Truth, Tom Crowfeather says simply. Recognition, proper burial rites for the disturbed graves. That night, lying in Riley's arms while October wind howls around the house, I realize our love story has become entangled with something much larger. The dream catcher that brought us together, the corruption investigation that deepened our bond, this house that shelters our relationship, all connected to historical injustices demanding resolution. The supernatural phenomena escalate dramatically after Tom Crowfeather's revelations about my family's connection to the desecrated burial ground. What began as mysterious temperature drops and unexplained sounds transforms into something far more demanding and intense. Saturday morning, I wake to find ancient pottery shards arranged in perfect circles throughout my bedroom, despite Riley and me going to sleep in an undisturbed room. The fragments pulse with otherworldly energy, their geometric patterns matching the dreamcatcher that hangs from Riley's leather jacket. They're trying to communicate, Riley observes, photographing the arrangements with investigative precision. These patterns mean something specific. Tom Crowfeather arrives within hours of our call, studying the pottery circles with growing concern. The ancestors grow impatient. They've waited over a century for acknowledgement. What more do they want from us? Complete truth about the land theft. Your great-great-grandfather didn't just profit from development. He organized the forced removal, bribed officials, destroyed tribal records. His words carry weight of historical injustice. Sanders Construction built wealth on systematic erasure of indigenous people. The revelation crushes whatever remaining innocence I held about my family legacy. Political success, financial stability, social standing, all rooted in historical crimes that damned both perpetrators and victims to this supernatural stalemate. Riley's investigation skills prove invaluable as we research the original land theft together. She uncovers bank records, construction contracts, correspondence that reveals the full scope of my ancestors' deception. Working side by side through dusty archives, our relationship deepens beyond romantic attraction into partnership facing impossible moral complexity. Look at this, Riley points to a faded letter dated 1889. Your great-great-grandfather promised the tribal families new land in exchange for peaceful relocation. They never received those lands. The betrayal compounds across generations, spirits trapped by broken promises and unmarked graves. Our growing love becomes intertwined with ancient grief, passion complicated by responsibility for ancestral crimes. Tuesday night brings the most intense supernatural encounter yet. Riley and I are researching in my living room when the temperature plummets 20 degrees in seconds. Pottery shards begin levitating, arranging themselves into complex patterns while invisible forces whisper in languages that sound urgent and mournful. They're showing us something, Riley whispers, reaching for my hand as spiritual energy fills the room. The levitating pottery forms a map, the original Black Hawk settlement layout, showing where families lived, where sacred ceremonies took place, where children played before forced removal destroyed their community. My house sits precisely where the central fire burned, the spiritual heart of everything that was lost. We have to make this right, I tell Riley as the supernatural display fades, pottery shards settling gently onto the carpet. How do we fix a century-old injustice? Tom Crowfeather provides guidance when we meet with him Wednesday evening. Proper burial ceremony for the unmarked graves. Public acknowledgement of the land theft. Restoration of tribal rights to this sacred space. The implications terrify and inspire me equally. Using my political position to address historical wrongs could destroy my career, especially with the Peters corruption scandal still developing. But the alternative, continuing to live on desecrated sacred ground while spirits demand justice, feels impossible. I'll do whatever it takes, I promise, surprising myself with the certainty. Riley squeezes my hand. We'll do it together. That night, lying in Riley's arms while spiritual energy hums through the house like electricity, I realize our love has become something larger than personal desire. We're partners in confronting historical injustice, using our combined skills, her investigative abilities, my political influence, to heal wounds that have festered for generations. Are you scared? Riley asks softly. Terrified. Of the spirits, of losing my career, of what this might do to us. It won't break us. Her confidence steadies my fears. If anything, this makes us stronger. The supernatural phenomena continue but feel less threatening now that we've committed to action. The spirits aren't malevolent forces but ancestral voices demanding acknowledgement, seeking peace through truth and proper respect for the sacred land beneath our feet. The news breaks on Thursday morning like a bomb exploding across Des Moines media. Conservative blogger Marcus Sterling publishes photos of Riley leaving my house at dawn, headlines screaming about the corrupt councilwoman's secret lesbian affair with young investigator. My phone rings incessantly. Margaret Fields calls from reporters, political enemies, and supposed allies demanding explanations. By noon, 3 major donors have withdrawn campaign funding, and Mayor Davidson requests an immediate meeting. Fiona, this is bad, he says, closing his office door with grim finality. The photos are everywhere. You with a woman half your age, in your nightgown, looking very intimate. My personal life doesn't affect my ability to serve constituents. Bullshit, and you know it. His political pragmatism cuts deep. The Peters corruption case, now this scandal, you're toxic. The party wants you to resign quietly. Riley finds me in my office that evening, both of us exhausted by media siege and political fallout. She's been equally targeted, former police colleagues questioning her professionalism, clients canceling contracts, her private investigation license under review. Maybe we should have run away when we had the chance, she says, collapsing into the chair across from my desk. Too late for regrets. I pour wine from the bottle I keep for crisis moments. Sterling's photos were taken from your surveillance position. Someone hired him specifically. Peters? Has to be. She knew about us, threatened exposure if we pursued the corruption case. I study the newspaper photos again, hate how they make our relationship look sordid and calculating. Perfect timing to destroy both our credibilities before the investigation concludes. That night, alone in my Victorian house, the supernatural phenomena reach unprecedented intensity. Doors slam repeatedly, temperature fluctuations make the heating system scream in protest, and pottery shards surface throughout the house in angry, chaotic patterns. Tom Crowfeather arrives Friday morning, taking one look at the supernatural chaos before shaking his head gravely. The ancestors are furious. They see dishonor brought to those seeking justice for their suffering. We haven't abandoned the burial ceremony plans. But you're distracted by modern troubles while ancient wrongs remain unaddressed. His criticism stings because it's accurate. The spirits demand full attention, complete commitment to their cause. The weekend brings no respite. Protesters gather outside my house with signs reading family values and perverted politicians. Conservative groups organize boycotts of businesses supporting me. My RE election campaign implodes as staff members resign and endorsements evaporate. Riley faces equally devastating consequences. The state licensing board schedules hearings about her professional conduct. Former military colleagues distance themselves from the controversy. Her investigation business hemorrhages clients afraid of association with our scandal. This is destroying everything we've worked for, she tells me Sunday night, studying hate mail that arrived at her office. Are you having second thoughts about us? Never. Her immediate response provides the only comfort in this nightmare. But I hate watching your career burn because of loving me. Monday brings unexpected supernatural intervention during a city council meeting. As Councilwoman Peters attempts to discredit my corruption investigation by highlighting the moral failings revealed by my relationship with Riley, the council chamber experiences dramatic paranormal phenomena. Temperature drops 40 degrees in minutes, making breath visible and causing emergency heating systems to activate. Lights flicker in patterns that spell out words, truth, justice, remember, visible to everyone present. Ancient pottery materializes on the council table, arranged in accusatory patterns that point directly at Peters. What the hell is happening? Mayor Davidson demands as supernatural energy fills the chamber. I stand slowly, recognizing my moment of truth. The ancestors buried beneath this city are demanding justice, not just for political corruption, but for historical crimes that built Des Moines on stolen sacred land. The room erupts in confusion and fear. Some council members flee as paranormal activity intensifies. Others stare in shock as I continue speaking about land theft, unmarked graves, and my family's role in systematic injustice. Councilwoman Sanders has clearly suffered a mental breakdown, Peters interrupts, but her voice shakes as pottery shards levitate around her chair. Have I? Or am I finally telling truth that's been buried for over a century? Riley enters the chamber at that moment, carrying boxes of evidence from her investigation. Despite career destruction and public humiliation, she's here to support me in this moment of complete political vulnerability. The corruption investigation stands, she announces, distributing documents that prove Peter's guilt beyond question. Whatever personal attacks you make against Councilwoman Sanders or myself, the evidence speaks for itself. The supernatural phenomena gradually subside as truth emerges, leaving the council chamber changed forever. By evening, Peters has resigned and I've committed publicly to addressing the historical injustices beneath our city. Well, Riley says as we leave City Hall together, facing cameras and protesters, that's one way to come out of the closet. Despite everything falling apart around us, I laugh. At 56, I've lost political safety and social respectability, but holding Riley's hand as we face the media storm together, I've never felt more authentically myself. After the supernatural chaos at City Council, Riley and I know there's no turning back. The spirits have made their demands clear, and our political careers lie in ruins anyway. Tom Crowfeather helps us organize a proper burial ceremony, working with tribal elders to plan the spiritual cleansing that's been needed for over a century. This must be done correctly, he explains as we meet in my living room, pottery shards still appearing daily throughout the house. The ancestors have waited long enough for proper recognition. The ceremony requires weeks of preparation. Riley uses her remaining professional contacts to locate genealogical records of the displaced families, while I leverage what's left of my political influence to secure permits for the burial ritual on city property. Public reaction splits dramatically. Conservative groups condemn the pagan ceremony as another sign of my moral corruption. But indigenous rights activists and historical preservation societies offer support, recognizing the importance of addressing century-old injustices. We've got coverage from 3 news stations, Riley reports, organizing logistics with military precision despite death threats arriving daily. This story's going national. The burial ceremony takes place on a crisp Saturday morning in November. Despite protesters gathered across the street, over 200 people attend. Tribal members, historians, concerned citizens who believe in confronting uncomfortable truths about our city's foundation. Tom Crowfeather leads traditional prayers in languages that sound familiar now, words the spirits have whispered in my dreams for weeks. Sage smoke rises as we acknowledge each displaced family, reading names that were systematically erased from official records. We honor the Black Hawk settlement. I speak into microphones that carry my words to national news networks. We acknowledge the sacred land beneath our feet, the graves that were never properly blessed, the families whose home was stolen for profit. Riley stands beside me, hand steady on my back as I publicly confess my great-great-grandfather's crimes. The admission destroys any remaining political viability, but spiritual peace settles over the gathered crowd as truth emerges after generations of silence. During the blessing ceremony, the supernatural phenomena that have haunted my house transform completely. Instead of angry manifestations, pottery shards arrange themselves into beautiful patterns celebrating completion and peace. Temperatures stabilize, voices fade to gentle whispers of gratitude rather than urgent demands. They're at peace, Tom Crowfeather confirms as the formal ceremony concludes. The ancestors can rest now that their story has been told. That evening, alone in my Victorian house with Riley, we finally experience the home as a sanctuary rather than a supernatural battlefield. The spirits are settled, the historical injustices acknowledged, and our love can flourish without ghostly demands for attention. What happens now? Riley asks as we sit by the fireplace, exhaustion and relief mixing in equal measure. I'll probably lose the election. My political career is finished. The admission should devastate me, but instead I feel surprisingly liberated. 20 years of careful image management destroyed in one supernatural council meeting. Any regrets? About us? Never. I pull her closer, marveling at how natural this feels after months of political anxiety and supernatural chaos. About finally telling the truth? None. We make love that night with genuine freedom for the first time, no longer worried about political careers or supernatural interruptions. At 56, I've discovered that authentic love matters more than public respectability, that personal integrity trumps professional success. The house embraces us now, settling into peaceful quiet that speaks of spiritual resolution and new beginnings. Our relationship has been tested by corruption scandals, supernatural phenomena, and public humiliation. We've emerged stronger, more committed, ready for whatever challenges await. Sunday morning brings unexpected news. Mayor Davidson calls with a proposition that could save my political future, if I'm willing to compromise the principles we've just established through such painful sacrifice. The party will support your re-election, he explains. If you distance yourself from the burial ceremony, claim temporary stress caused the supernatural claims, and end your relationship with Riley Cook. The offer hangs between Riley and me like a test of everything we've learned about truth and authenticity. Political survival in exchange for betraying the ancestors we've just helped find peace, abandoning the woman who stood by me through impossible circumstances. What do you think? I ask Riley, though I already know my answer. I think you're done with compromise. Her smile holds pride and love and complete confidence in my integrity. Tell them no. The conversation with Davidson lasts 3 minutes. By noon, my political career is officially finished, but my conscience is finally clear. Riley and I have chosen love over safety, truth over convenience, spiritual peace over professional advancement. Standing in my garden where ancient pottery continues surfacing as gifts from grateful ancestors, we plan our future together. Her investigation business will rebuild, maybe focusing on historical justice cases. I'll find new ways to serve others that don't require political office. No more secrets, I promise, watching November sunlight illuminate her golden hair. No more hiding, she agrees, sealing our commitment with a kiss that tastes like freedom. 6 months after the burial ceremony that destroyed my political career, I win re-election by the largest margin in Des Moines City Council history. The victory celebration at Riley's expanded investigation office feels surreal. Supporters who abandoned me during the supernatural scandal have returned, joined by new constituencies who respect authentic leadership over political calculation. Indigenous rights advocates, historical preservation groups, young voters inspired by someone willing to sacrifice career for truth. 63%, Riley announces, raising champagne as election results scroll across television screens. Not bad for a disgraced politician in a lesbian relationship. Former disgraced politician, Tom Crowfeather corrects with rare humor, joining our celebration with several tribal elders who've become unexpected political allies. The ancestors chose well when they brought you two together. My campaign centered on historical justice, transparent governance, and the radical idea that public servants should prioritize community needs over career advancement. Riley's investigation business thrived alongside, specializing in cold cases and historical research that other firms avoided. The Peters corruption case set precedent for municipal reform across Iowa, she explains to reporters covering our joint success story. Sometimes personal sacrifice creates professional opportunities. Our relationship, initially seen as scandalous, has become Des Moines' most visible example of authentic partnership. Age differences that once seemed insurmountable now illustrate that love transcends conventional boundaries when built on mutual respect and shared values. The Victorian house stands transformed. What began as supernatural battlefield has become community gathering space, where we host historical preservation meetings, indigenous rights workshops, and monthly ceremonies honoring the Black Hawk settlement ancestors. They're still here, I tell visitors, gesturing toward pottery shards that continue surfacing in the garden. not demanding justice anymore, but offering guidance. The dream catcher from our first meeting hangs in the front window, catching sunlight that illuminates the living room where local students research family genealogies and tribal historians share oral traditions that were nearly lost. Riley coordinates these activities with efficient passion, her military background providing organizational skills while her investigation expertise helps families reconnect with erased histories. Watching her work with teenagers discovering their own heritage, I see the woman who captured my attention at that cultural festival has evolved into someone even more remarkable. "Remember when you thought you were too old for selfish wants?" she asks, finding me in quiet contemplation during tonight's victory celebration. I was wrong about many things. I touch her face, still amazed by her presence in my life. Age, love, what really matters for authentic happiness. The party continues around us, but we slip away to the garden where November stars shine over ground that holds both ancient bones and new possibilities. Our love story began with corruption investigations and supernatural chaos, survived public scandal and career destruction, emerged stronger through commitment to truth over convenience. "What's next for us?" Riley asks, arms encircling my waist. "Whatever comes." The future feels limitless, rather than constrained by careful political planning. Together. A year ago, I was a lonely politician protecting carefully constructed public image. Tonight, I'm a woman who chose love over safety, authenticity over advancement, spiritual peace over professional success. The transformation cost everything I thought mattered, and gave me everything that actually does. Another pottery shard surfaces near our feet, geometric patterns glowing in moonlight like blessing from grateful ancestors. Riley picks it up, examining the intricate designs that have become familiar household decorations. "Think they approve of how things turned out?" "They brought us together," I remind her, remembering the dream catcher that started everything. "I think their work here is complete." Standing in our garden where sacred ground supports new growth, surrounded by community we've helped heal, I understand what the spirits have been teaching us. Justice delayed is not justice denied if someone eventually has courage to face uncomfortable truths. Love postponed is not love lost if partners choose authenticity over fear. At 56 and 31, Riley and I represent something Des Moines didn't expect to embrace. The radical possibility that genuine relationships matter more than conventional appearances, that serving others requires serving truth first. The cultural festival where we met seems like lifetime ago, but that pottery vendor's dream catcher still catches morning light in our kitchen window, reminder of how sacred objects can weave unexpected connections between souls ready to recognize each other. Our story isn't ending tonight. It's beginning again, rooted in ground blessed by ancient spirits and watered by modern courage to love authentically despite every practical reason for caution. Tomorrow brings new challenges, continued service to community that trusted us with second chances, and endless opportunities to prove that love built on truth becomes stronger rather than weaker when tested by impossible circumstances. Riley's hand finds mine as we stand together under stars that have witnessed centuries of human struggle and triumph. Whatever comes next, we'll face it as partners who chose each other across every boundary that matters, proving that authentic love makes all other victories possible.